Good evening, friends, and welcome to another edition of the Artist Spotlight Show being heard right here on Music Dreams USA Radio. And we're being brought to you today by Blue Shamrock Music, Mr. Stephen Brady, and Biker Bay Barber Productions with Karen. And if you're a live band looking to get your name out there, make sure you check her out. She's on Facebook and also part of the Music Dreams USA Radio family. And if you have any requests, just send those requests to info.musicdreamsusaradio@gmail.com. And on today's show, we've got a superstar. That's right. This gentleman is just tearing up the music scene. He won a country music award up in Australia, and we'll talk about that. He's got a few songs. We'll talk about that. He's also a studio artist as well. We'll talk about that. We might, this is a half-hour show, but with all the things he's got going on, we may have to extend this one. But welcome, friends. It's your friend Russ, okay? And you can join us live on our YouTube channel every Wednesday, 7 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on Music Dreams USA Radio, and we are a distributed iHeartRadio station. And so, with that being said, without any further ado delay, let's welcome our amazing guest. Please help me and welcome Mr. Brandon Radford. How you doing, sir?
I'm going well, Russell. How are you doing this morning or this evening?
I am doing great. I know you're up in Australia right now.
Over here. Yeah.
What part of town are you in, Brandon?
So I live in a town called Brisbane in Queensland, on the east coast of Australia. Yeah.
How you liking it up there?
I love it. I spent most of my childhood in this town. We spent a little bit of time traveling around regional Queensland, rural and remote, but mostly here in Brisbane. And I've got my family. They all live close by, and I just love it here. Yeah, I love to travel, but I love coming home to Brisbane. And the weather here is usually quite amazing. It's beautiful summers, and we don't get snow or any of that sort of thing here. You can almost just slip out to the islands, in the middle of winter and still swim in the ocean. So it's a pretty amazing place.
Wow. I told myself, and I told Stephen, we're gonna get all the artists together we've interviewed. We have one big artist party, and we're gonna make it happen one day. That would be cool.
Sounds like a plan.
Oh yeah. So, as I mentioned in my introduction of the show, I mean, you've done some amazing things in the music industry, and definitely want to tip my hat to you and thank you for making music so great. How did you get there?
Wow. Well, back to the start. I guess my dad strummed a bit of guitar and played harmonica in a frame, and he taught my uncle to play. They live up in did live up in regional Queensland, and we used to go for school holidays and vacation, I guess you call it. My uncle and I would sit and just play guitar, and we'd play, old Shadows tunes and Chet Atkins tunes, and just that's what we kind of that's what I learnt. The Golden Wildwood Flower and Yellow Rose of Texas, and the Old Spinning Wheel in the Parlor, all these old tunes, we just sit and play. That was my holidays, so that was the start of it. And then it kind of went from there. Still at school, I was 14 and I was in my first band, and we were doing Latin American gigs, and then I had another little band doing rock gigs, but I always sort of had this country thing in the background as well. So that was kind of where it started, and it just went from there.
What do you think about country music today? I mean, compared to back in the day to where it's at right now, do you like where country music is going?
That's a loaded question, Russell. I like lots of different kinds of music. I'm probably not loving every country artist that is out today, but then again, I never have, But I loved that period of the 90s with, like Ricky Skaggs and Steve Wariner and Vince Gill and Rodney Crowell, one of my favorite ever singer-songwriters. I love the new Willie album that's out that's got all Rodney's tunes on it. So that's kind of so anything like that I love. But I'm a James Taylor fan, a big James Taylor fan, and but I also in Australia I get to play, and I love a lot of sort of the very authentic Australian style bush ballads and those sorts of things. So there's a big gamut of stuff. I I don't know. I like it all, but I like the story songs. I like, you know, songs that are a bit, a bit narrative. I love great writing, and that sort of thing. So yeah, there's artists that I really love that are putting music out these days. But yeah, I think it's like any time, you know, there's things that you love and things that you don't love so much.
You know what they say, right? You can please some of the people some of the time, but you can't please all the people all the time.
I, I think when you play music, and especially when you write music, you've got to try and please yourself first and foremost, because then it's, you know, it comes from you, comes from the heart, and with someone at least that's going to connect, you know, and it's all about that connection, that emotional connection. So
Well, obviously, with all these success you've had in the music industry, I'm sure you have a lot of artists that come to you, maybe for mentoring or maybe teaching them, so on and so forth. What is some of the best advice that you would share with them?
well, be true to yourself, yeah, and you know, as I say, you know, it's like songwriting. I think the best songs come from experiences, um, but also collaborating is a great thing to do. Networking, you know, be part of the community. I think that's probably the thing for me, and also just follow your dreams, because uh, let's face it, the people that are really successful, like commercially successful, uh, there's something a little different about them. And as humans, we tend to kind of not like change. We like to gravitate towards things that we know and that we're comfortable with. And it's the stuff that you're uncomfortable with sometimes that's how you grow. And so I would, yeah, just grow and be true to yourself, and don't be afraid to be different.
What are some of the lessons you've taught yourself during your journey?
Uh, well, I wish I should practice more.
Mhm.
Although I play a lot, so you know, there's a lot of that there, and I did practice a lot more when I was younger. But you know, you got to roll with the punches too. I think I've seen lots of people over the years that get their back up about things, and sometimes they'll burn a bridge, you know, and sometimes it's pretty hard to come back from that. So, you know, there's that saying, "Don't sweat the small stuff," and it's all small stuff. So, I think that's probably that's how my brain usually works, I think. Yeah.
Let's talk about you have a few singles out right now. You maybe want to help us talk about those singles, how they came together, and what does your songwriting look like when you actually do put songs together?
Yeah, cool. So the current single is a tune called "Start All Over Again," and it's come from a number of experiences over a number of years. I wrote it about 10 years ago, and actually band tracked it back then, and then it's just kind of just been sitting on the back burner because I've just been busy with other things, and working with lots of different people, and you know, life gets in the way sometimes, but. That one tells a story about, I've got a family. I got kids grown up now, and grandkids now actually. But that's sort of where the premise of that song comes from. You know, just working all week, and as you probably know, as a musician, musicians don't necessarily have, like, it's not a 9 to 5 thing. You know, I mean, I can get up and come into my studio here at 5 or 5:30 in the morning. I know uh, there have been musician friends that I've collaborated with and worked with that have only been reachable between sort of 5 and 7 in the morning, because after that they've got sessions, they've got this, that, and the other, and then there's gigs at night. So, you know, being a musician's like a, you know, almost like a 24/7 gig. You know, you just sort of, you do it when it comes, and it's and that's no complaining. I love it. Always have, but. I think so. That's part of this first tune. Sort of came from that. Um, I recorded it in Brisbane in a studio that's I band tracked it in a studio that's no longer with us. And the fellow that engineered it, he sadly committed suicide a few years ago. He's a great friend of mine, and that's another thing, you know, with the music industry, with people just get so passionate about things. Sometimes I think sometimes it just gets the better of them. I've lost a few friends over the years to suicide, but when it's great, you know. So that's sort of that's a bit deep, isn't it? But there's a lot in this current single, and also I feel like I've had a bit of a musical reawakening over the last 12 months or so. So I feel I've got some direction that I didn't have before, and I've some things I really want to get done. So the tune's called "Start All Over Again." So that's kind of where it's at with me for that tune, and it's going great. It's going great for me on the getting lots of airplay and lots of streaming and stuff. So yeah, it's great. Do you want me to keep talking because there's
Yes,
a few other
please.
singles? Yeah, great.
Yes,
Yeah, cool.
please.
So the tune that I released before that is a tune called EJ. So that EJ stands for Elijah James, and Elijah or Jim was my grandfather. Now my grandfather died before I was born, but he worked on the railway. He was a railway guy. He was what they call he was a fettler. Then he was a ganger on the railway, and there's a few stories that my dad, you know, told me about my grandfather, and then there's also I went and did some research. Here in Australia, in Queensland, like we have rail across different states, and it's all state based. So Queensland Rail is who my grandfather worked for back in the 40s, the late 30s and 40s, and so I did some research, and there was a little. They actually shared his personnel record with me, which was amazing, and it looked like he was the sort of fellow that didn't suffer fools. I think he might have, he might have sort of run his own race a little bit. But there were a couple of misdemeanors on his personnel record, and one of them was about running a trolley or a rail motor that they take to repair the rail, running it up the track, and not realising that there was actually a locomotive scheduled coming the other way, and seemed like he had to dive off that and get out of the way. So that song EJ is actually, it's kind of pretty much based on fact about my granddad and just the stories that Dad told and that sort of history. So the good thing about it is, well, if you listen to the song, there is a happy ending, obviously, because I'm here and my dad was here. So that was, you know, personal experience. And then I guess the other one I should talk about is a tune called The Red Center, which is an instrumental. I'm a guitar player, well, sort of multi-instrumentalist. I play harmonica and mandolin and a few different things, but my guitar is kind of my main instrument, guitar and vocal. And The Red Center is the result of a collaboration with a friend of mine by the name of Lindsay Waddington, who has a studio about an hour away from me. I go down there at least once a week, and we collaborate on things, and I play on things for him. And we put that together last year with some other musician friends, but it was kind of Lindsay and I that kind of compiled it pretty much. And we were lucky enough in January at the Australian Country Music Awards to pick up a golden guitar for Best Instrumental of the Year. So actually there it is down there. I think you can see it on the bench there behind me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so actually I'll grab it. It's they're pretty hard to win, these things, but there it is. That's a golden guitar from the Australian Country Music Awards. Yeah, so yeah.
Great job, and you must be reading my cheat sheet, because that's the next thing we're going to talk about.
Right.
Well, kind of like,
so,
let's dive into it, right? So first and foremost, congratulations. And what I mean, that is like one of the most major awards you can ever win, and you did it. So walk us through the process of how it began and how you got there, and you finally made it. They chose you, and you walk away with one of the most coveted trophies that artists are just dying to get their hands on?
Yeah. Okay. So the Country Music Association of Australia runs an awards ceremony every 12 months, once a year, and that awards ceremony is in January each year. They close the awards 1st of October, I think, is usually the closing date for the awards, and it's for music that's been released over the preceding 12 months up to 1st of October each year. And so then it's an entry process. You need to self-nominate, and then you're judged essentially by a combination of your peers, industry people, and fans. So there's a process of shortlisting down to top 5, and then at the awards, the top 5 are presented, and then whoever gets the gong out of that top 5 are the ones that win the golden guitar. So, and we were lucky enough, in January this year to take that off. So that's kind of how it works. But it's pretty competitive, and they're pretty hard to win. I know I'm actually the musical director for the awards band. So we actually have live music on that awards show. So combination of people that have been nominated and other quite luminary folks in usually the Australian music scene. We've had some overseas people join us over the years, but so in between musical events, there's awards presentations for a number of categories, and so that's kind of the Golden Guitar Awards, as we call it. Yeah, it happens in Tamworth in January every year.
Yeah, congratulations. I mean, so when you walked on stage and they called your name, you walked on stage, you picked up that trophy. What type of feeling were you going? What were you going through at that moment?
Well, it was pretty wild. I've been in the Instrumental of the Year final a few times before. I was actually in top 5 the previous year, and that was a composition that I'd just done myself. It was funny this year. I sort of, I think I was more nervous last year for some reason, but this year I don't know. I kind of, it felt like it was, I felt we were in with a real chance, because they release around about sort of December, they release the top 5 out to people, so you know who is in the top 5, and they're all fantastic things, all fantastic items. But I just kind of thought, these are all really great pieces of music. It's great craft, but I just felt like we're up there with the best of them in that year. And I just thought, if we lose, it'll be to someone that's fantastic, because they're all fantastic. And if we win, I'm going to feel like we deserved it, because but I was actually on the stage already, because I was MDing the band for the night, and my mate Lindsay Waddington, Watto, he was down in the audience with his family, and my wife was sitting with them, and it was funny to see his reaction, because he kind of didn't even stand up to start with. He didn't believe that we'd won. He just said he said to me since, he just didn't. It was kind of like a bit of a dream. It was a bit surreal, but he ended up doing the walk up, and we met each other, and we got up there, and we kind of. The other thing was I had nothing prepared, and I don't think he did either. But we ended up just bouncing off each other, and I think it was there was some sort of cohesion to our acceptance speech. It was pretty funny, but yeah, it was great. It was a great moment, and it's just always amazing to be recognised by your peers, because I've worked with lots of those people for many years, and kind of just feels great to be recognised in that way.
I mean, yeah, you're not whistling Dixie on that one. I mean, that's what the music industry is all about. Pinpoint at people that they give everything they've got, and bringing to the forefront the talents that they have, and rewarding them for those talents. And that's kind of what happened with you. I mean, super talented. You've done a lot of amazing things in the industry, and now your name gets called, and you get one of the most prestigious awards. And again, congratulations to you on that. That's just awesome, and thank you
Thank you.
for sharing that with us. And we're just super blessed to have you on our show this evening. And is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience?
Look, I just thinking about what's coming up, I guess. Yeah. So I still tour with other music artists in Australia, as well as kind of trying to ramp up more, doing my own thing. And I really love touring through regional and remote areas. And in Australia, the best time to do that is wintertime, because in summer it's crazy hot. We're in Celsius over here, so it gets 44, 45 degrees, which is well over 100 degrees Fahrenheit in places, and you can't travel. But wintertime, the days are usually pretty gorgeous in the outback. Nights get pretty cold, so good thing to have a campfire and sit around. But I was out at a place called Charlotte Plains a couple of weeks ago, which is out near Cunnamulla. You can go and have a look at that on the map of Australia, but it's sort of out in the Channel Country. And we did a show out there. I did that show out there with a friend of mine, a fellow by the name of Brad Butcher, who's got some great music out. And we've written a few things together, and we got to perform a couple of things together. And I've got some other things coming up. We're going out to Birdsville at the end of June with one of our iconic singer-songwriters over here, a fellow by the name of John Williamson. So I play in John's band, and I've played on his latest record. And so we're going out there just for a couple of shows, a couple of quite exclusive shows, to 1,000 people at a time. Out at this, it's basically on the side of this great big red sand dune at the edge of the Simpson Desert. So we go out and we play a couple of gigs out there. We've got a bunch of other things coming up just in regional areas, and I'm actually in my studio today, finishing off vocals for the rest of the album that these latest tunes have come off. So I've got another single due out in around about 6 weeks' time, and then the album will come not too long after that. So I'm really looking forward to all of that. So there's a lot of work to do, getting that all finished off and getting that out there. So that's kind of what the rest of this year pretty much looks like for me, and amongst all the other commitments. So yeah, looking forward to it. It's great to be busy. It's great to be doing what I love. So
Got a question for you as it relates to the U.S. artist compared to the Australian artist. Is there a difference between the two, or maybe one day would you like to see maybe you guys maybe join forces?
look, I think there's a little bit of joining forces already, really. I mean, I guess the thing is, we've got about 24 million people in Australia, whereas the population of the US is in the hundreds of millions, isn't it?
It is
300 million, is it, or is it
probably
way
more than
up
that
from that?
now. Yeah.
What? Yeah, yeah. So it's it's a much smaller kind of audience base, I guess, here in Australia. But so it's sort of a slightly different, and also I think culturally, um, there's some differences there. So there's those things, but I mean, we have actually we've just done some recording for an American artist over here not long ago, a girl called Kinsey Rose, who's based in Nashville, I believe. We recorded a couple of songs for her on the Gold Coast here. And I know I've got lots of friends that live over in America, that live in well, not quite Nashville, Hendersonville. Um, so I've got friends that are over there, and they're they're doing the thing in Nashville, and they're touring, and uh, one girl is doing the bluegrass thing. She's doing really successfully over there, and collaborated with people like Jerry Salley and that sort of thing. So, and of course, I mean, you guys have got Keith over there. Well, Keith used to do gigs around here in Brisbane at the same time as I did. I remember we used to have we had a resident gig at a little venue in Brisbane City, and my band used to do it on Wednesdays, and Keith's band used to do it on Fridays. That's a few years ago, but so that sort of thing does go on. There's some Australian writers based in Nashville as well. Just thinking about the country thing, and I'm sure there's other writers that are based in other parts. But yeah, I think as long as it's about people doing what they love and what they're good at and developing their craft, and so we also have a festival over here called CMC Rocks, and we get quite a few American artists to that. That one's not far from us here, about an hour's drive from us, and that's a really successful festival. I think that one sold out in about 6 hours. That one happens in February or March each year. And I'm just trying to remember the name of the American artist that came out. That he's a young guy that does sort of 90s style country. What's his
Post
name?
Wendell?
No. He's a sort of he's acoustic guitar player. He's a great player. It'll come to me. Anyway, that's okay. But yeah, I think there's lots of that stuff going on already. So
Let me ask you this. Obviously, as you mentioned, you're also in the studio. You do like studio recordings for other artists. Who's the most famous artist you've done studio recordings for?
would be an Australian artist, and there's a few of them, but John Williamson, we've just finished his record. Brian Cadd, who spent quite a bit of time in the States quite a few years ago, but we did an album for Brian last year. Last year it was finished. And probably Lee Kernaghan's one of our biggest artists over here. So I toured with Lee for 12 years, and played on a few of his records. He still calls up from time to time with some sort of bespoke thing that he just wants me to come and do. So so there's been a few. I started touring in the 90s with a girl called Gina Jeffries, who was she was quite a famous, or still is quite a famous artist over here in Australia. But I've done some work with a few American artists too. I remember Pam Tillis came out here a few years ago, and we did a little run with Pam, and I played electric guitar with Pam. It was amazing. What an incredible singer Pam was. That's probably some of the folks that I've worked with. Troy Casadale's a great mate of mine. I don't know. He actually, Troy. It's funny, at the Golden Guitar Awards. Watto and I won one golden guitar. Troy won 7.
Wow!
At the last awards. So yeah, I've played on Troy's records and toured with Troy quite a bit. I did a really nice run with Troy and a guy called Paul Kelly, who's one of our iconic singer-songwriters here in Australia, a few years ago. So yeah, some great memories of some great things, and lots to come, hopefully. Yeah.
So when you're not doing music, do you have any hobbies?
Yeah, look, we've got ourselves, we've had a camper trailer type thing, and we've always liked to get out in the bush or go to the beach and camp. But we've recently upgraded ourselves to a really nice off-road type caravan, a lifestyle caravan built down the road by a friend of mine, Lifestyle Camper Trailers, and it's so we like to get out in that. We've got a little not border collie. We've got a little dog, little blank.
All right.
We've got a little spaniel, little cocker spaniel, little black cocker spaniel. Actually, I should have brought her in. I could have shown it to you. And we like to take her along with us, and of course I've got a few kids, so we like to spend time with our children. But I love to fish. We go and fish off the beach, or not so much freshwater fishing. I like beach fishing a lot, and I cycle a bit. I'm a cyclist, so I like to get out and stay fit and stay out of the way of the cars. But I like to
There you go.
I
That's
like to do
important,
that a
right?
bit. Yeah, 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 yeah. They hurt when they hit you, so
Well, as
you
we
got to stay
wind
away
down our
from them.
show this evening, first and foremost, again, thank you for your time, and you've been an amazing guest on the show. And again, wow, I'm just blown away just sitting there listening to you talking and going through your journey and everything. And so, with that being said, I know we asked this question earlier, but let me ask it a different way. We actually have artists who are like live bands right now. They sing a lot of covers, and their goals of one day maybe getting into where your shoes are. So these are live bands, but they sing a lot of covers. What advice can you give those bands to maybe try to get to the next plateau and really try to discover who they are and kind of like and just go for it?
I think it's the same no matter what you're doing. It's not just about music, but if you want to change it up, you've got to put that time aside. You've got to dedicate time. Um, I know people often say, I don't have time for that. Um, a better way to put that, I think, is I haven't made time for that. So you've got to make time. Um, and it can be hard, especially like if you're playing in a cover band and you're kind of relying on that income. It can be hard to say, I'm going to put aside some time where I'm not going to be actually earning. I'm just going to be investing in my career. But you got to do that. If in your heart that's where you want to go, um, you've got to put time aside to write. If you're not writing, if you decide you can't write, you've got to put time aside to source material. I think. I mean, it's a tough industry these days. Just with streaming platforms and everything digital. So the way that you earn money out of music has changed quite a bit over the last few years. Um, but and of course, overlaying that with AI as well. So there's all of that stuff. That's a whole other thing. But I just think you've still got to be true to yourself. Um, but you've got to put that time aside. Um, Link up with like-minded people. Um, I think also I've always tried to be. Well, I guess for a lot of years I was the youngest guy in the band, so um, there was always an opportunity to learn. So you surround yourself with people that you can learn from, um, and I think it's just a whole lot of that, and just keep going, don't stop. You know, I don't know if that really answers your question, or if that was what you were
Oh,
kind
it
of
does. It most certainly
looking for.
does.
But yeah,
Mhm.
I just really think it's if you want something to happen, you've got to put that time into it, and you've got to feel okay about it yourself too, I reckon. And that's part of the hardest thing is feeling that like confidence. You got to have confidence in yourself, especially when you're doing something that's different to what other people are doing. Like it's as I said before, I think that's the most challenging thing is to do something and say, well, that doesn't really sound like anything else. So does that make it bad? Not necessarily. It might be actually the next big thing. Who knows? So you just got to keep going. Yeah, got to keep going. Believe in yourself. Be confident, and have fun. Have fun with it. If you're not having fun with it, well, you're probably doing it with the wrong people. Find some other people. Have fun.
That's awesome. Yeah. That was the perfect answer to the question. So you hit that nail on top of the head. How did you and Stephen Brady with Blue Shamrock Music? How did you guys connect?
Stephen's got a great platform for distribution of music, and I guess in this day and age, with so much music being released, you have to have a way of getting it out into the marketplace um, and getting it in front of people. I'm actually an artist, quite a famous artist here in Australia, once said to me, "You can have the best song in the world, but if no one ever hears it, what's the point?" So Stephen gives us the vehicle to get that music out, and he's actually super super helpful. So it's obviously we pay a fee for that, and that's how he earns his living. He's got a business around that, but he just goes above and beyond. He just keeps, he's organised this interview with us. I mean, I had my last single was out maybe 10 or 12 weeks ago. So kind of his commitment is long finished as far as what I paid for. But he's just I think he loves the industry and he loves to see people succeed. So that's where the Blue Shamrock thing came from. Yeah, he's got a great reputation here in Australia for distributing music for people.
Yeah, I mean, we've been with him, gosh, over 5 years now, doing this show, and I just love doing this show. You meet amazing people every week.
Yeah,
and each week is a different story, and this week is no different than others. And it's so cool to sit down and talk to some really cool established artists and people who have a love and passion for the industry. I think we need more of that. We need more artists just like you, got the love and passion. Just to do your thing, as you mentioned in the interview, just do your thing and stick to it, and don't ever give up. So, thank you for sharing that. And are there any final thoughts that you'd like to share with our audience before we bring our show to a close?
Probably that I have had 2 coffees and no breakfast yet, and I've got 5 tracks I need to sing on today. So I am so thankful that you contacted me this morning and we've had this chat. You've actually really motivated me now. I got to go and get out of my own way and get this stuff done. So thank you for the inspiration.
Thank you. We're going to have you back. We're going to definitely do a part 2 with you.
I'd love that. That'd be great.
Yeah. And one final question, if I may. With the artists are watching now and maybe people watching later, how can they get in contact with you if they wanted to?
Yeah, great. So look, I'm on Facebook. So Brendan Radford on Facebook. I've got a website. If you search for Brendan Radford, the website is called radmusic.com.au. So radmusic.com.au, and there's some contact details on there. So that's probably the easiest way. I guess, yeah, or just reach out to me on socials. Yeah.
All right, my friend. Thank you for your time this evening. Thank you for making music great, and super excited to see what you got come up in the future. And as I mentioned, we're going to have you back for sure.
Fantastic. Thanks, Russell. Thanks for the support, and good luck with the show as it goes on.
Yes, sir.
Look forward to talking to you again.
Oh yeah, just let everyone else know who Music Dreams USA Radio are. We're in the house.
Thank you.
All right. Again, that was Brandon Radford, and what an amazing interview we just had. And if you're just watching it now, you don't want to miss a minute of this interview. He talks about his musical journey, his amazing award he won. Just all the accolades and everything, and just the experiences he's had. So if it's the first time you watch this interview, you want to make sure you watch the whole thing. Do you want to be another Brendan Radford? Do you want to be just like him? You can be. Reach out to Stephen Brady with Blue Shamrock Music. If you're an upcoming aspiring artist, and just like Brendan, if you want to get your name out there, you can do so. Just reach out to Stephen Brady at Blue Shamrock Music. Again, it's your friend Russell K with Music Dreams USA Radio. We are distributed by iHeartRadio. And again, what a pleasure it's been to be with you here this evening. We're here with you each and every Wednesday from 7 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Until then, friends, you have a great rest of your evening. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time on Music Dreams USA Radio's Artist Spotlight Show. Have a great evening.